Two cannot work together except they agree. You see, one of the lessons I've learned is, just lastly right now. Lastly, communication is one way for you to perpetuate God's glory in your life. Then we need to talk about this very well, but I won't take too much on that. Communication is number one, you remind yourself of the mandate that you have. But the second part of it is to know that God has given you a mandate that you also need to communicate, to pass across. Let the spouse know. Both of you must know. Remind yourself, both of you, yourselves of it. Communication, I found out, has been the major key point in keeping a marriage. Somebody will say, let's talk about it. Okay? Let's talk about it. We need to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We will not let it pass. We need to talk about it. It doesn't make you a nagging wife or a nagging husband. Just talk about it. There are certain things that are just flying around and they look like an unspoken expectation. You're expecting this from your wife. You're expecting that from your husband. But it's not just happening because you have not communicated it. So it becomes an unspoken expectation. There you are, expecting this so much from your husband. I thought you should know now. I thought she should know. No, she doesn't know. No, he does not know. You need to talk about it. And I saw God as a God who communicates. And that comes from that passage. Come, let us make man in our image. God was talking to somebody. God didn't just assume to conclude and say, and then he made man. Come. That is so important to take note of. If somebody is talking here about let us, and God did not say let me. It was God. God in everything. He could have just said, I will make man in my image. But I think he had a plan. That's why I call him a smart God. He needed to know for you to know that there's a preposition you must always use. Let us. Let us talk about this. Let's talk about the children. Let's talk about the finances. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what you're doing. Let's talk about what you're not doing. Don't let it pass. Let us will solve a lot of problems. Let us. Don't leave things to chances. Don't just assume that it is going to happen. Communication is God's character. It is one of God's deep character. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and God was what? Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1 again. It says, come, let us reason together. Isaiah 43:1. Let's talk. God looked at us and found out that your sin, you've had a lot of sin, and your sin is so terrible. But guess what? Let's talk about your sin. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about your sin. When we come to an agreement, then I can make your sin, though it may be as red as scarlet, but I can make it as white as snow. That's what we have talked. So I can forgive you, my husband. I can forgive you, my wife. I can forgive you, my friend. That's how we have talked. There's a lot of healing in conversation. But again, such conversation must be healthy. Must be a healthy conversation. Must be the right conversation. Must be enough conversation. Not a half conversation. Not conversation you're supposed to have for 30 minutes and you only had it for 5 minutes and you're done. No, it has to be well enough. A conversation for you to make a meaning out of it. It has to be right. The communication must be right. Don't talk to your children when you're supposed to talk to your wife. Most of you, when you are not having your husband, you start communicating to your spouse through your children. That is not communication. You're only talking to yourself. Oh, go and collect money from your father. Go and collect money from your mother. That's something you need to talk about. Most of you are supposed to talk to your boss. And then the next thing you start to talk to all your mates when you're supposed to talk to your boss. Do make your communication right. Go to the right person and talk to them. This is a community of God's people. This is a family. If somebody offends you, go to that person. That's what the Bible says. Go and talk to the person. Okay, there is a procedure about it. Don't be wise. Before another person hears about it, let the person know. But that's one of the things that breaks relationship. It breaks homes, because what is supposed to be your home, somebody is hearing outside. That's the wrong way of communication. One of the reasons why God created us is to give glory to Him. And that same God, it was so cognizant of what it means to let us. Amen. So let the communication be right. Isaiah chapter 1 verse 18. Isaiah 1:18 says, God says, come, let us reason together. So each time you come together to communicate, I tell you, it makes a whole lot of sense. One of the lessons the Lord taught me in years past in our marriage, I remember when we're still joking about that last few days ago. When I said, you must thank God that I brought you to America, I said, thank you so much. And she actually did. Okay, she did. But it has a way that happened. You know, somebody told me about Visa Lottery, and I said, okay, Visa Lottery. It was 2 days to close. And I did not, I had the mentality, I had the thought in my head. Then the US Diversity Visa Lottery was for 60 days, October 1st to November 30. And it was just 2 days to go. This was November 28th that I had this encounter with one of their cousins, far cousin. I said, oh, Pastor, why don't you play lottery? I said, lottery is just 2 days to go, and it's going to close right now. And so I understand that those who put in early, those are the ones who win. He said, no, that's not the right information. He said, as long as that website is open, you stand a chance to win. And I did not waste time. Just 2 days to go, I went to mommy, picked up Ife, who was 2 years old, and then I ran to campus, bought 100 naira here time, and I went to my wife. I said, sister, let us go and play lottery. And she said, no, we're not playing lottery. No, let me finish my PhD. When I finish my PhD, I have 2 years to go, then we can play lottery. I said, we don't know when we may win. Let's go and do it now. And she said, okay, it's because you're my husband. That's why I'm good. That's why I will follow you. I said, just follow me. I will carry you to the car. We'll take the picture and bring you back to the office. And she said, okay. And I still have my picture today. That picture, that day, she reluctantly took that picture. She was very reluctant. She just powdered her face and said, okay, take the picture, let me go. And took the picture. I'll show it to you, it's in the house. And then, when I got there, I started putting in all applications for about 9 people. So, I decided to do one for myself, and then, of course, I know that if I win, it covers my wife and my son. And then I opened another one for her, Bola Oyedola. And then I opened another one, Bola Badaru. I know that at least that's the opportunity because you couldn't submit one application, with the same name or 2 applications with the same name. So I made 3. And then 4 months later, it was Bola Oyedola that won. I said, see? Okay? But what has communication got to do with it? That day I remember that I said, if I was fighting with my wife, I would have lost the opportunity. If there was no communication, sometimes just she should go away, me too, and go my way. When they tell you that, you won't be able to go to her now. That's where communication makes a lot. Let's rise up.